That's good enough for me.
Did I ever tell you guys about airports where they sell weird, really sweet dumps? And,
Nice.
yeah, it's like a little like prize pack, and that's where like I got all my candy.
Hello.
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 Hello. Hi ho.
Hi ho. I did. Funky stuff.
It is part of the PC experience.
Such a mistake to think these tools aren't meant for monkeys.
I used to have a video output, but I didn't understand my port.
Alex, can you give us a little hack the planet?
Hack the planet!
Shut up and get in the car!
The planet hacking? He's hacking the Gibson. I got a clicky one. Loudest kind. But I also have rubber ring dampeners on mine. I bought a pack of these little rings you put down. No dampeners here. People thought I was crazy when I was a kid. Actually, though. Gee, thanks for the life-destroying baby bomb.
I'll be right back, guys. Has anybody heard from Tyler?
You summoned him. If he starts talking backwards in Latin, I'm going to freak out.
Sourcing your friend, you don't know where.
In the name of Jesus!
I've got some notes.
Can I reach that chandelier from here? So when we last left the party, you had come up from the cellar with the makings of at least 2 comfortable meals out in the woods, and the party left Lubenek behind them and began moving off into the wilds on their way to Grimstar. You guys are keeping more to the hills. Girdur is occasionally interacting with a crow that he seems to be feeding a little bit. Just a nice evening stroll through the woods. Higher up into the hills, the scent and sounds of town are left behind you, and you feel like you are truly making your way deeper out into the woods. You guys have kind of been following the path that Girdur's bird sets out as you guys wander. And feeling the weariness of the day, the party agrees that it's time to look for a place to bivouac. Pitch, you said you're looking for a place to rest?
Yeah, I'm just looking for like soft, loamy ground for us to sleep on.
Give me a whoop.
Girdur, you find a sweet little spot. It's just a sweet looking spot.
All right. Yeah, I'll hunker down, kick some wood into a hole, and use my lovely cantrip of start a campfire.
Very quickly, the camp starts to come together. You guys find yourselves settling in for a nice night.
Haas would like to elect that Byrdan organize a feast from his bag of holding.
Yeah, sure. I'm definitely going to bust out the wine. All the wine, 3.5 bottles of wine. So that's not that much. My 2 loaves of bread, the big salamis, and the cheese spread.
I usually have turkey legs in my pocket, so I'm probably good.
Oh, you should have Wolfenstein it.
Take some of that wine, though. I'm planning to evaluate my position on that, but I haven't even gotten to the next day to do that yet, so I'm just going to keep the train rolling until the rest.
Hey, Haas is looking for an apple.
The only thing I grabbed was this, and Mom pulled out a wooden spoon.
How about a Byrdan?
Maybe.
Haas's primary objective is simply to chew and gnaw a pipe bowl out of the apple and inquire towards Girdur as to whether or not he may be troubled to share some tobacco.
Got a bunch of stuff in here. Girdur turns it upside down and slowly lifts it. The most random stuff comes out. Weird smells.
There's some of your homemade jerky that you've been carrying around with you for quite some time now. An Underdark spider jerky. You do catch something sparkling bounce to the ground. Make a sleight of hand check for me. You make a fairly obvious lurch forward to grab it and cover it up with 2 hands like you're catching a frog. Was anybody watching?
Haas is right there looking for tobacco.
So Moth and Haas, you see Girdur put his hands over top of this small object.
Is that some of that hopping tobacco I've heard so much about?
Yes, it is the hopping tobacco.
Can you make a deception check for me there, Girdur?
I think it's actually tobacco that Haas gave him.
You're able to now surreptitiously open your hand and see the item in the palm of your hand is a small, polished, flawed, spherical crystal, cupping your hand to keep other people from seeing it. You turn it around and there is a face looking back up at you. There's a tiny little man inside of this crystal that you're holding.
Oh, Jesus.
Girdur is audibly distraught. He's sort of like having like equivalent of an acid flashback about like where this thing came from and how it came into his possession. Let me throw up. It's called a languishing limpid, and it was given to me by Grenfell.
What am I seeing here? Is this some sort of enchantment, a curse? Some sort of semi-stable mineral-based polymorphism container?
He knows only now the inside of the crystal.
He knows only pain.
Why don't you tuck that away out of sight, Girdur?
Girdur's going to kind of like close Moth's hand with it in his hand and kind of look at him. I think you should hold on to this for now. I could talk about Grenfell at some point, but probably not now.
We'll push away from the three of you around the fire. Byrdan, Ibrahim, what are you guys up to?
Hey, Byrdan, so about that wine.
Yes, the wine is out currently. Yeah.
I didn't even notice. I'm going to pour myself a glass and saunter with my best nonchalant stride over in the direction of the clandestine activities and try and get a better look.
Moth brings his hand up to the side of his head, holding it, and like brushing his hood back is going to let it fall into the cup of the hood.
Oh, slick.
I don't know enough about wizard robes to not be fooled by that.
In doing so, exposes the top of his head, upon which is nested something.
What's that thing on your head?
Nothing. Pardon me. I need to use the woods.
You got something. What is that?
It's nothing. It's totally normal.
It's not normal. I know what normal is.
Stop
I don't trust you.
haranguing string bean. Ibrahim, here's to your health. And Haas will slug the wine and pass the bottle to Ibrahim.
Moth's gonna mouth the words, "Thank you."
And as you look around, Pitch is passed out on the ground nearby you, and everybody else seems to be kind of clustered away over by the fire. Are you paying any attention at all to what they're doing, or no?
No, I'm kind of actually looking at the helmet I bought, considering it while also looking at the book I have.
You feel a little bit dizzy.
I'm just going to hang out with the helmet on then.
Okay.
It's not weird or anything.
Moth and Girdur run the first watch. You guys turn over to Haas. Haas, you go to try and rouse Ibrahim. What do you do to rouse him?
Haas will kick him. Just a full-on hard kick. He knows he was hitting the bottle, so yeah, a good solid kick to the ribs.
It's like kicking something roughly the size of a VW Beetle.
Oh, I'm just going to make grunting, strained noises and then roll over and ignore everything.
Well, that's fine.
Byrdan just actually sits upright like the letter L.
Slowly, like Dracula, though?
No, really quick, really fast. Yeah, like a cartoon boner.
Where'd you find that?
I literally typed the letter L in. It was the first one.
Oh my god.
So, Byrdan, you're on your third watch. Was anybody else getting up with you for a third watch?
Pitch is going to tune his hearing to the forest, but mostly he's just going to sit there and preen himself like a pretty bird, comb his hair and twist his mustache.
You both, at the same time almost, hear footsteps in the woods. Twig snaps.
Pitch is going to fire a warning shot.
A voice in the darkness says, we're going to take a bio break right now.
You're my sweet desire.
Don't touch it.
Is everybody back? Alrighty, guys, let's jump back in here.
Identify yourself.
It is Enna.
Do I know who that is?
The huntress.
The huntress lady.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Byrdan across the camp on the other side, an individual with a pushed back cloak, dark hair, white shock across her brow, looking up and in quiet conversation with Pitch.
Pitch, do you require assistance?
No, Byrdan. We know this one.
And looks back up at you, Pitch, and says, I was contacted and asked to bring you this. She produces a small envelope. On the front of it is Bubbles' handwriting.
I rip into it.
Just a couple of lines. I will see you again. I know where you're headed. Bubbles. Enna looks around the camp and says, normal, jovial behavior is, oh, well, that's no fun, and slips away into the darkness. You lose sight of her.
Pitch mutters under his breath, goodbye forever.
Rest of the watch passes without incident, and in the morning, all are rejoined. You have a quick breakfast.
Girdur's going to be trying to catch frogs.
Byrdan's going to be eating any leftovers from the night before.
There's some cheese that's like, cheese but sweaty. There's still some cheese. 4 frogs and 3 crayfish.
Nice.
Ibrahim's going to eat a big bowl of regret for breakfast.
Delicious.
Oh, dude.
That's, you bounce back. As far as you know, alcohol does not have any negative effect on you. You get up the next morning and you're like, ah.
I feel great. Perhaps I have too quickly judged the drink.
Haas is looking for particular tracks. I think we can all surmise what tracks these are.
So the party breaks camp and begins pushing off into the woods.
Yeah, I'm speak with animals. Speak with animals.
You take breath of this magical aura out of the air.
I do like access to fresh water. You should teach me how to crow.
You can fly, you can fight, and you can
It turns its head and looks at you and says, one of these days you should teach me to transform into a man.
I would gladly do my best.
The king of the crows could teach you to fly.
The bird says we should go to the river.
I'd love to get some eyes.
What say you, Byrdan?
Yes, that would be tactically advantageous. Into the gully.
Anyone else have an opinion on this?
We've been guided well by birds before. An odd thing to say, but...
The
Maybe it's
paladin's
an open-
wisdom holds true. Birds have been benevolent to us.
Indeed.
I don't think he could convince everybody to go find that crow now that we've hoofed all this way.
Dude, it's a giant crow. We should totally try.
Come on, guys.
Epic arrows.
The crow may even know something about the worm.
Great crow is not a tool for you to help kill.
That asshole's not gonna ever get these beats.
Through bared teeth, Moth is like, sounds great.
We may have the opportunity to rid ourselves of the Imperials as well.
Now that idea I like.
A familiar feeling, Scottish Highland feeling area. But the constant cawing that was here last time you were here isn't present. You find the King of the Crows' nest, but it is empty.
Our master of crows is not here now, and it looks as though his nest has been ransacked.
A crow flies overhead and says, River, not river.
River, not river.
This isn't the river, man.
Well, check this out.
He says, is that your new bird?
I mean, it's gonna teach me.
Can you fly?
I don't know. Girdur will try to fly.
That was worth a shot.
You guys are going to continue on your way towards Grimstar?
Pitch is gonna advocate that they start their long march.
Haas, you're ranging out a little bit further from the party, looking, of course, for the tracks. Go ahead and make a survival check. At a certain point, you see very large, deep footprints.
Haas will slink away from the party, trying to ascertain the age of the tracks, the freshness.
They're fairly fresh.
Yes, Haas, follow the tracks, heedless of his company.
Ibrahim, you catch a glimpse of him.
I'm going to saunter after him. That is for my unit.
Make a stealth check.
unit.
Ibrahim, as far as you know, you are being super stealthy.
Okay. I'm gonna continue to make loud noises.
Listen, if Ibrahim is being obnoxiously not stealthy, Haas is going to turn and do the old Harrison Ford finger. You know, that one?
Well, wait, but anything I could do to pretend like I wasn't trying to be stealthy. Like I was.
Should we go after them?
Why?
Yes, impatiently tapping his foot, like looking at the proverbial watch on his wrist.
Looking at like the length of the shadow on the trees.
You're heading into a bit of a box canyon.
Haas is going to lean in close to Ibrahim and whisper, "Did you happen to get paid from that job in the mine? I do recall Pitch speaking of it at one point."
I don't. Ibrahim is quite rich already. He's trying to.
You were there.
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Hush now, Ibrahim. We hunt. Owlbears, of course, Ibrahim. Owlbears.
Owlbears?
Quiet yourself.
A sound greets you from the hills. Woo!
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh my goodness.
Ibrahim, gonna need you to roll a stealth check.
Well, I just stay in one place, so there's no clanking.
Haas, you take a look at Ibrahim, and you realize, like, Ibrahim is twice as big as the bush that you guys are hiding behind. And again, you hear... So we'll get the two of you to roll for initiative, and that's where we're going to leave it for this evening after our initiative rolls.
Good one.
Thank you.
Hey, thank
thanks
you
for the game.
very much, James. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
GG.
Goodbye forever.
See you, dudes.
Very nice.
Good night, guys.